Calaroga Shark Media.
Happy Thanksgiving! I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jonathan Kite has been doing these impressions of Anthony Bourdain. He posted them on Threads at Jonathan Kite. He goes to actual locations. He dresses up like Bourdain. He does a great Bourdain impression. He's got the body type to pull it off, too. I was watching this one that I'm about to play for you, and I was like, even if I did a great Bourdain, I don't have the right body type at all. I could never pull off tall and lean, but Jonathan Kite has this thing down. I'm going to go a little longer with this one than I normally do because it is Thanksgiving themed, and, you know, Kite's putting these up on social media, so I don't think he's really trying to monetize them. I come in peace, really like your work, but here's Jonathan Kite as Anthony Bourdain.
Welcome to America's endless harvest and the feast of all you can eat, Golden Corral, where Pilgrim's Progress meets the age of consumption. Because here, Thanksgiving isn't a holiday, it's a lifestyle, buffet style. So buckle up, throw on your stretchy pants. This is Manna Feast Destiny. It's the United Plates of America, and at $16.99 a head, you get liberal portions at conservative prices. As is tradition, we begin with the bird, our annual sacrifice. The golden butter-soaked turkey glistens under heat lamps that could tan a corpse. And like Travis Kelce's dating history, you can enjoy both white and dark meat. The first Thanksgiving was a fragile truce between worlds to survive the Hunger Games of 1621. Today, we gather with loved ones just trying to survive each other. Left wing, right wing, it's all the same bird.
Absolutely fantastic. Jonathan Kite is his name. Give him a follow. Sebastian Maniscalco, he spoke with us weekly. He had a cooking show. Remember that? It was called Well Done with Sebastian Maniscalco on Food Network. And now, in hindsight, I'm realizing I didn't make nearly as much fun of that as I should have. I should almost go back. If we ever have another pandemic and I need a bit like George Lopez tacos, maybe I'll just critique Well Done with Sebastian Maniscalco on Food Network. But hopefully we won't have another pandemic and I won't have to do that. But this is a food story and it's Thanksgiving. I do put these shows together. As Sebastian said, I became passionate about cooking around the time I met my wife. I like cooking because it's similar to comedy in that you're doing it alone and making stupid faces for no reason. If it sucks, it's your fault. If it's great, it's your fault. Same thing with stand-up. It's very therapeutic for me to go into the kitchen and get lost in the sauce. I do a beautiful French toast. The next thing I want to master is pizza. Switching to comedy, you have to live in everyday life to extract humor. That's why I'm an active parent. I drop my kids off at school. I go to the soccer games. I'm taking my kid to gymnastics. You find a lot of humor in those things. You do have to be cautious about talking about some of the fancy things you do. I went to the Oscars, but my Oscar story is not one of fame and fortune. It's me sitting up in the third balcony while everybody from Greenbrook is accepting the Oscar. When I was announced on the red carpet, it was a bathroom break for the photographers. They were cleaning their lenses. Ryan Seacrest was there with his camera guy and lights on a pedestal, and they take me all the way down to the guy who's a one-man shop with his iPhone and is from the Ecuador Times. Sephora.com spoke to Fortune Feimster about taking care of biscuits. That's the name of her tour. She said, it came to me as something that lets people know they're in for a good, silly time. She said, now at all the cities I go to, people are dropping biscuits off, and I'm grateful, but I'm like, I'm going to have to name my next tour Taking Care of Salads, because it's a lot of biscuits right now. One Instagram video showed Fortune in her green room. The room was filled with biscuits from Hardee's, biscuit-shaped pillows, custom merch. She said, that was all a surprise. My writer is so boring. I literally asked for water, ice, and a cup. I used to have big, extravagant green rooms. But then I was never hungry, and I felt like I was being super wasteful because normally I either eat before or after the show. As for her biscuit preferences, her favorites are a loaded, savory, yummy biscuit with fried chicken, pimento cheese, and a little honey. Or just the opposite, just a jelly biscuit. I'm trash, so I love grape jelly. If Fortune Feimster could only eat one thing 24/7, 365, it would be pad thai. She says, I went to Thailand and ate pad thai for a week and a half straight and did not get tired of it. I love it so much, I think I could do it. I could just eating it forever. I usually get it with chicken, but if I were going to eat it every day, I'd try to switch it up, try some shrimp or tofu or bounce back and forth. All right, Fortune, what's the first thing you learned how to cook? Grilled cheese. But I learned by doing it wrong. I was babysitting and the kid wanted grilled cheese. I turned the oven on and he was like, why are you turning the oven on? And I said, I don't know, baking it? He told me just throw it in a pan or the toaster oven. It was too much for me. You don't need to go through all that for a grilled cheese, but he was right. I was pretty old to learn that, like 16. More food stories from Fortune. It's Thanksgiving, you know? She said, grilling is brand new for me. I never had a grill until I got this house, and it came with a grill, and I was determined to learn how to use it. Getting beef to the right temperature is the trickiest part. You don't want it to be too rare or red or too cooked and dry, so I'm learning the happy medium there. And there's an editor's note, pun intended. Fortune told Savour, I'm a dessert gal. I have such a sweet tooth. I'm near a cheesecake factory. I will hit up that Adam's peanut butter cup fudge ripple cheesecake. That's a real treat. Any foods from your childhood that you liked? Grandma's chicken and dumplings. So comforting and classic. Biggest flex to impress guests, Fortune said. I love some good scented candles. They're inviting, warm. Then all you need is good food. I don't have a signature scent yet, but I love holiday candles all the time. So we're getting closer to the holidays. I'm pumped because the ones that I love smell like Christmas trees. Jim Gaffigan spoke to the Today Show. They were curious how Jim's wife and kids feel about being in his comedy. Jim joked, I don't care. Then he got a little more serious and said, the good news is that my children, all the things I say, I don't have to feel guilty because they have no interest in my comedy. I'm more concerned about accidentally posting a photo where they appear in it on Instagram than me saying something in my stand-up. Obviously, I try to be respectful, and I think anyone who's a parent is aware we've all made mistakes, but parenting is you try your best, and then as a parent, you become the receptacle for all the blame. Kathleen Madigan spoke to the LA Times about her family and the stuff they bring over. She's proud of the chicken salad or stuff they bring over, like tuna casseroles, and they're very into hearty grandma-type food, meaning fattening, which I'm all in on. She talked about a Midwestern sensibility and said everybody's got their little things. Like Iowa would have a big fight about their corn being better than anyone else's. Stupid stuff, but to us, it's what's happening. It's what we're talking about. Sports, everybody's got their thing with the Packers and that kind of stuff, but it's not anything we were given like the ocean. The mountains of Colorado? Nope, we don't have that either. That's why when people say, oh, do you like where you're from? We're always like, yeah, it's fine. We know it's not great, but it's not horrible. It's fine. I love when people say St. Louis. Is that kind of by Chicago? Well, kind of 4.5 hours down the road. Define kind of by. That's what I say about my coastal friends. It's what they've been given. I mean, someone made it all the way out there, so I give those people credit. But the Midwest is like, you're going to get bored driving around Kansas, Nebraska. At least in Missouri, when you get south of St. Louis, we start to get big hills. We call it a mountain. It's a hill. We have good lakes. Coastal people don't like lakes because they're like, that water's a little still. I'm like, yeah, and there's snakes in it too. She is hilarious. All right, I'm out of food stories. Stephen Colbert had spoken to GQ. This one is a bit of a leftover in the spirit of Thanksgiving. They were curious, does he think the late night format makes sense anymore? Do you think the times for these shows has passed? Have you ever felt that while doing your show? Stephen Colbert said, no, not doing the show. I do the show with gratitude. We have a really great time. We love doing the show with each other. We love all pulling on the same rope. I love being there with those 450 people in the Ed Sullivan Theater and a Broadway theater. We've done our best to deliver something the network can monetize in some way. I thought we were successful at that, so all things must pass. I think if there's a business reason for this, I know there's been a change in ad rates since the strike, and I know that's really never recovered for that, so all that makes sense to me. And I also know that these late-night shows are kind of like symphony orchestras. They need a certain amount of personnel to do them. You can't really do a show in the Ed Sullivan Theater, 1135 on CBS, with a band and sketches and field shoots and stuff like that for the cost of a podcast. And if you look and say, oh, look, this is what a podcast makes, and this is what these shows make, then you're keeping these shows on because you love the form. Why would shows like mine continue to exist, or Kimmel, or Jimmy, or whatever? Well, we're like your friend who at the end of the day paid attention to what happened today more than you did. Then we curate that back to you at the end of the day. But it's really more about how we feel about, or I as the person who's the vehicle for that, how we felt about it today. Boy, that speaks to me as someone who does this show. Like, presumably at some level, you just kind of enjoy my voice and vibe, right? Like, I don't think you're like, this is the only place I can get comedy news. But, you know, we have this relationship, you and I, you listener, me host. And yeah, I feel what Steven's selling here. He says, I share those feelings with the audience and they laugh or they don't laugh. And there's a sense of community there. Quick timeout. It's a holiday. We've got time. I was teaching my class 1 week ago today, and I was teaching the college class about the concept of tribes and building community around shows. And I started to explain to the class how I almost always refer to one comedian as dramatic actor Adam Sandler. You're in on the bit. I'm in on the bit. And always saying dramatic actor Adam Sandler reinforces the thought there, with me as the leader, lowercase l, of this tribe of comedy fans who have gathered around this podcast and in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Please join us. Anyway, one of the students starts agreeing with me and goes on for like 7 minutes about Adam Sandler is good in Punch Drunk Love and in Uncut Gems. And I just stood there mugging for the camera, making eye contact with students and just gesturing over at the student who just kept going on and on, proving my point of the power of the tribe and of the community. And I high-fived the student. I was like, you just proved my point. So I get what Colbert is selling here. He says, there's a sense of community, and there are fewer, I don't know who coined this term, but there are fewer and fewer of what you would call third spaces in our life. Have you heard this term, third spaces? This is John talking. My daughter taught me about this. You have home, work, and then somewhere else you go. For me, it's the brewery on trivia night, where I see my friends. Every now and then, I'm tired. A couple weeks ago, the night we won, actually, I was kind of tired, and I said to my wife, I have to show up or I won't have friends anymore. I need to be with the guys. So that's my third space. Colbert says we need third spaces in our life, not your home, not your work, but some other place we get together, and these late night shows are for millions of Americans a third space to come together and think about the day. Switching to politics, Colbert said, people perceive me as this sort of lefty figure. I think I'm more conservative than people think. I just happen to be talking about a government and extremists. What I'm giving to you is my reaction video to the day, and my reaction video is like the Scream. So that makes me perceived as more left necessarily than I am, because I'm not sure what other reaction would be an honest one. I was having a side text with a friend of the show who appreciated that he's not entirely sure which side of the aisle I'm on. Again, this is not a political show. I'm not sure what you think. I'm not even sure what I'm telegraphing might actually be accurate. Again, I'm not playing a role, but like I like to say, the president and I don't agree on all the issues. We agree on 1230. We don't agree on other things. With previous presidents, I agreed on some things, didn't agree on other things. With the next president, I'll agree on some things. I won't agree on some things. I think that's how most people are, right? Colbert said, we broadcast to a general audience. There's no entrance fee. There's no subscription. You don't have to look for us except on Channel 5 or wherever you are. And we have a variety of different guests. It's a variety show. It is Thanksgiving, and I hope you're all having a nice Thanksgiving. I do want to give a shout out to one particular member of the audience. That's Mike Chisholm. He hosts the Letterman podcast, and I don't know if you know this, he's Canadian. So, hey, Mike, hope you enjoyed October 12th or whenever Canadian Thanksgiving was. I assume you have to work today. Sucks to be you. The rest of us, turkey and football. Enjoy, my friend. Love you. New episode of the Letterman podcast tomorrow, probably. I don't know. I don't know if Mike's skipping a week. He usually puts out an episode on Friday. If not, you haven't listened to them all. Listen to an old one. He's got this guy, Johnny Mac, that goes on there every now and then. Anyway, Mike, enjoy work today. I'll be getting even fatter. Lorne Michaels has donated his 500-box archive to the Harry Ransom Center at the University of Texas at Austin. The exhibit is called Live from New York, the Lorne Michaels Collection. It has stuff going all the way back to 1975. Posters, newspaper clippings, photos, Lorne's work with Lily Tomlin, Phyllis Diller, and Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. His other stuff, Three Amigos, Mean Girls, 30 Rock, Portlandia, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and Late Night with Seth Meyers. You can walk past that exhibit and be like, this isn't interesting at all, and just keep going. There are posters, annotated scripts, Make 1230 Great Again, costumes, production materials, and newspaper clippings from these projects. Guest curator Steve Wilson's exhibit labels provide excellent in-depth guides to the entire exhibit. Various network memos on display reveal the inevitable behind-the-scenes battles of musical tastes. Network execs like the classic rock. The youngsters like some different kinds of music. Also, apparently, some memos discussing the departures of Norm Macdonald and the great dramatic actor Adam Sandler. Before email, the show regularly got mail, fan letters, complaints, sketch and job pitches, scribbled on everything from scratch pads to toilet papers. There's a 1978 letter from one of the writers describing the frustration of having to respond to the relentless barrage of unsolicited comedy material. She wrote, no matter how funny you think it is, we cannot read, evaluate, or use any of your stuff. We never use outside material, and we're not looking for any new writers at this time. Really, cross my heart and hope to die, which I may do soon if I have to write any more letters like this one. And that is your Thanksgiving comedy news for the day. Normal episodes all weekend. I got plenty. Even from this show, I bumped 4 stories. It's not one of those weeks where I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I got plenty. Enjoy your turkey. Mike, enjoy work. See you tomorrow.